So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
Roswell in the 21st century is a detailed re-examination of the Roswell UFO crash case. I have studied the evidence for more than 30 years, and I now put that evidence under a microscope in a cold case examination of the facts. These facts might not please everyone. They are based on my comprehensive investigation that took years to complete, but they do lead to the conclusion that whatever fell was not built on Earth. The best of Project Blue Book is based on the 22-year-long investigation conducted by the Air Force. But the book goes far beyond that, bringing in evidence that was uncovered long after Project Blue Book was ordered terminated. Using facts that were unavailable to the Air Force investigators, I was able to prove that the Air Force manipulated the data and drew unrealistic conclusions about the UFO sightings reported to them. My different perspective shows there was more to Project Blue Book than even the Air Force knew. Both books are available at Amazon.com.
Join Patty Conklin and Healing Within Radio each week. More than entertainment, Healing Within offers educational, useful tools for everyday life. Listen for help overcoming fear, anxiety, and depression. Patty knows about eliminating cancer, MS, dementia, Parkinson's, and a host of illnesses that we face every day. Life can be good. Life is good. All you need are simple tools to start changing your life. Start right now by visiting pattyconklin.com, PATTICONKLIN. No matter where you are in the world, you can work with Patty through Skype, phone, or in person, visiting one of her retreats in Georgia. Visit pattyconklin.com today or call our offices at 404-474-0086. That's pattyconklin.com or call 404-474-0086.
The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I've been calling the X Zone for the past 30 years. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. And we come to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. And if you'd like to check us out online, visit the X Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. And you can actually watch the X-Zone TV channel for another couple of weeks at www.xzonetvchannel.com. And that is with a lot of hard work and dedication from our only broadcast network and syndicator of the X-Zone TV channel, our good friends at Simul TV, especially the president and CEO, Stephen Turner. Before we get to my guest this hour, I'd just like to do a little bit of reflection on what is happening in the United States and around the world. Last week, George Floyd was the victim of a homicide at the hands of a police officer. This is very close to me since I myself am a former police officer. We were there to serve and protect. But remember, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Now, there are some new facts that have come to light over the last 24 hours that, number one, the county coroner is blaming the homicide on a heart condition. You have an independent coroner or pathologist saying it was asphyxia caused by the one officer on the back of Mr. Floyd, and that caused his diaphragm from going up and down, and of course, the other officer who had his knee on his neck. What they do not repeat time and time and time again is that at the time of the arrest, George Floyd was on drugs. We weren't there. We don't know what happened. This is up to the criminal justice system to take all the facts that they compiled during their investigation with the district attorney, the Department of Justice, because they're considering this as a hate crime. It's easy to blame, but you weren't there. We do not understand the full extent of the actions of both the police officers involved, and I'm not saying they were right. Please don't get me wrong. I've been called a racist from my views, and frankly, I don't give a damn. You know, you people yell, "We have our rights." Well, you know what? So do I. You want to protest? Protest in peace. You have that right. But when it comes to looting, when it comes to rioting, and because members of the media don't kiss your butts, you get upset? Too bad. You know, all these signs, Black Lives Matter. Well, what about a sign that says all lives matter? Whether you're black, whether you're brown, whether you're white, we're all on this planet. All lives matter. You know, I heard a lot today in the media about reforming the police and the actions of the police. Well, you know what? Here's something very, very simple to think about. If the actions of the criminals weren't there, then the actions of the police would not be necessary. The reform of the police would not be necessary. I think what President Trump last night did so he could take a photo opportunity outside a church was wrong. I think what Attorney General Barr instructed the multitask federal law enforcement agencies that were posted outside of the White House to disbar the protesters was totally wrong. I know for a fact that what the rioters are doing wrong, what the looters are doing wrong, they're, you know, and I can understand that President Trump, I don't agree with him 100% of the time. But I do agree where he says, hey, governors, if you cannot bring in the National Guard and protect the lives of your citizens and protect the property of these citizens, I will bring in the Army. I agree with that. They're sworn to protect America from enemies, foreign and domestic. And if this is not a domestic enemy, I don't know what is. Anyway, to the family of George Floyd, my heart is with you. To the family of the 4 police officers that were shot yesterday, my heart is with them as well. You know, you don't see riots because 4 police officers got shot, do you? Oh, no. You want equality? Well, follow the example that was put forth last night and today, because no police officers are rioting. No police officers are looting. No police officers are protesting. They're there to serve and protect. So just give the officers involved in this horrific event the same judicial rights that you want for what has happened to George Floyd and his family. These officers have been charged, yes. One has been charged, I'm sorry. The others are, we'll see what happens there. He deserves the same rights as anyone else. He has been charged with a Class 3 homicide. He has not been convicted. He is still innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. The Black Lives Matter want that. Antifa wants that. All the idiots who are causing riots and looting and burning and shooting at police officers want their rights. Well, so does the police officer involved in this deserve his right to a fair trial and to be judged by his peers. It's a two-way street. And don't forget, Exonation, there's always 3 sides to a story. His side, her side, and the truth. Preston Dennett is my guest this hour, and he began investigating UFOs and the paranormal back in 1986 when he discovered that his family, friends, and coworkers were having dramatic, unexplained encounters. Since then, he has been interviewed hundreds of times on radio, television, and newspaper, and he's also interviewed witnesses and investigated a wide variety of paranormal events. He is an author who never stops writing, and we're going to be talking to Preston tonight about his newest book entitled On Board a UFO. Preston Dennett, welcome back to the X-Zone. Great having you with us.
Hey, thanks so much.
I'm sorry I took so much time in the preamble, but it's just gotten to me. You know, like we've got the corona pandemic that's going on, and you see all these people running around. They're not practicing social distancing. Most of them aren't wearing masks. It's going to be interesting, but also fearful to see what happens in 2 weeks. What the results and the spikes in the coronavirus are going to be. Now, you live in Los Angeles. How has the riots and the coronavirus affected you?
I think pretty much like most people, it's put me on lockdown.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty scary. I don't think anyone really has gone through this in, a couple of generations at least.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty, all new. We see some good things with how people are reacting, some bad things. I'm hoping that ultimately we come through this, learning some lessons and more prepared.
On all fronts. All right, Preston, please stand by. You and I have to take our first break. Exonation, Preston Dennett is our guest. We're going to be talking to Preston about his new book entitled On Board a UFO. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Crystal Beach, Ontario, Canada. It's funny because we're on the shores of Lake Erie, and I can see right across into the city of Buffalo. And last night after the show, I went to the shores of Lake Erie, and you could actually see the burning. It's an eerie feeling. It's something so close to home, and I pray to God that does not cross the border. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. Are you looking for psychic services that empower as well as provide accurate information? Jenny is a third-generation psychic with extensive esoteric training. A practicing professional intuitive for over 30 years, her accuracy is astounding. While most psychics can read what will happen to you if you don't change directions, Jenny understands the future is subjective. While there is a river of time we all traverse, that river has many waves, eddies, currents, and tributaries from which to choose. With Jenny as your guide, you can explore the many possible outcomes in the river of time and navigate your course to the one of your liking. Take control of your future. Book your life-changing session with Jenny today at www.gen-e.net. That's www.gen-e.net.
Mission Evolution is dedicated to the well-being of the planet and animals, as well as the evolution of humankind. One major factor threatening all three is increasing toxicity. Heavy metals and other environmental toxins are poisoning our bodies, deteriorating our brains, blocking our spiritual connection, and shortening our lives. Yet these poisons are extremely difficult to remove. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, and I recently became aware of a product created from the marriage of nature and nanotechnology called Vitality. It's formulated from zoolite, whose crystalline structure binds toxins, gently carrying them out of the body. The light is only as clear as the window through which it shines. Clear your body, shine your light into the world. Visit vitalityhappens.com for a 20% discount. Enter code PATHHOME.
In the mid-1990s, I was approached by a young woman who believed she'd been abducted by alien creatures. In conversations, I began a journey that took me not into the world of interstellar travel, but back through time into past lives. Under hypnotic regression administered by a professional rather than describing abduction, Jenny, as she is called, begins to tell a tale of horror in 19th century London. Her unbelievable past life seems to connect with Jack the Ripper and other monsters of the past. Throughout the session, Jenny provides a rich detail of her past lives that links some of the most horrific killers in history to one another. Using the resources of a university library in the pre-internet's day, I was able to verify some of Jenny's claims. She has knowledge that wasn't readily available to a suburban housewife. Does this prove the reality of her tales? Conversations attempts to answer that and other provocative questions. Conversations is available at Amazon.com.
And welcome back, everyone. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. My guest this hour is Preston Dennett. And Preston is an author. He has an impressive list of books, including Onboard UFO Encounters. That's the one we're going to be talking about tonight with Preston. Schoolyard UFO Encounters, The Healing Power of UFOs, Not From Here, Volume 3. Undersea UFO Base, UFOs over Colorado. Inside UFOs, UFOs over Arizona. Not From Here, Volume 1 and 2, UFOs over Nevada, UFOs over New Mexico, Ghosts of Greater Los Angeles, Bigfoot Yeti and Other Ape Men, UFOs over New York, Aliens and UFOs, Human Levitation, Supernatural California, UFOs over California, Out-of-Body Exploring, California Ghosts, Extraterrestrial Visitation, UFOs over Topanga Canyon, 1 in 40, UFO Epidemic, UFO Healings, and that's just the partial list. But we're going to be talking tonight about On Board a UFO. On Board a UFO Encounters contains 15 all-new original cases of people who have been taken on board a UFO. So tell us more about this book.
Yeah, what I like about this book is it presents all my own research. These are people I got to interview extensively, and this book focuses solely on people who've had an onboard experience. So I present 15 cases, 10 men, 5 women. Mm-hmm. Some of them it's just sort of a one-off, one experience. But most of these people have a lifetime of experiences.
During the investigation and research that you have done for onboard a UFO encounters, was there anything that you found to be shocking, since you have done so many investigations and interviews into people who have had the experiences as well as witnesses? Was there anything that was totally new to you?
I think to a certain extent, each case has a little bit of shock value to it. But some are definitely, not only shocking, but challenging my own beliefs about the phenomenon, for sure. It's UFO contact. It just gets, once you think you have a handle on it, you find out you don't, because each case just has some really strange elements that are unique, or essentially.
What was your most interesting interview that you did? Could you share some of the details with us?
Yeah, certainly. I would say that that's a pretty hard choice because,
Well, give us your top three. Give us your top three. How's that?
Well, one of my favorite for sure, I think, was a lady I interviewed by the name of Pat Kate. She's from originally Florida, born in 1943, and has a lifetime of experiences. She was about 5 years old, coming home from the circus one day, staying at her grandparents', and was going to bed on the second-story bedroom when she saw a face looking at her through the window. She now recognizes it as sort of your typical gray, but back then she had no idea. Screams, her grandparents come running up and explained to her, she told them what happened, and they said, "Listen, honey, you're on the second floor here. There's no way anybody could be looking through this window." She thought something had followed her home from the circus, actually. So that's how it sort of started for her. This is a pattern I see in a lot of cases, experiences around age 5, 6, 7, particularly with people who have continuing encounters. And she's definitely fits that profile. Another weird thing that happened when she was just a young girl, she was diagnosed with leukemia and was about to undergo treatment when it suddenly and mysteriously disappeared. No one had any explanation for that. She was about 13 years old. She was in behind her house one day, and suddenly the entire forest, the woods around her, lit up in really, really bright light. She became very disoriented, thought maybe she saw God or something. She did not know what it was at the time. She now recognized it as a probably missing time abduction, because these sort of things started to stack up, and she was starting to have UFO dreams. She would have these nighttime experiences where she found herself on board a UFO, and she wasn't really sure if it was real or not, but she had a lot of missing time events. One time she came home, opened her front door, and there were 3 grays in her living room. They were very matter of fact, told her to mention their presence to her teacher. She was going to school at the time. One of them was dressed in a pinstripe suit.
Well, wait a sec. The alien was dressed in a pinstripe suit?
Yep.
I've never heard that before.
She was very embarrassed to tell me. She's like, I don't know if you're going to believe me or not, but this is what it was, and I don't know if it was to reduce the fear factor or what.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I have heard it before, at least 3 times.
Now we're talking about aliens from outer space here, right?
Presumably. I think that, they're extraterrestrials in the classic sense, yeah.
Okay.
So they sometimes do this sort of thing. But it's strange. But her case, I'm telling you, has these weird elements.
Now, did they speak to her in English, or was it telepathic communication?
Telepathic. Pretty much always telepathic. There's 1 or 2 cases where that had, it's not. But the one guy in Netherlands, they spoke to him in perfect Danish.
Wow.
That's his primary language. They said, don't be afraid. We won't hurt you. This sort of thing. But with Pat, what really threw me with her was an event that occurred on November 13th, 1985. She had one of her UFO dreams, except this time she didn't wake up on board a UFO. She woke up standing next to one. It was daytime. there was a being standing next to her, a human-looking figure in a blue sort of jumpsuit. A UFO is on the ground not far away, surrounded by grays and other blue-suited humanoids.
Mm-hmm.
And long story short, she's looking down on this village, which looks sort of South American maybe, not in the U.S., judging by the plant life and the style of the buildings. And they lead her into this village, and they start taking people out of this village and into the UFO. And she said it was very strange. She didn't question anything. Nobody questioned anything. They just followed them like sheep.
Uh-huh.
And they loaded up this UFO for a period of a couple of hours with about 500 to 1,000 people. There was actually another UFO doing the same thing nearby, another metallic craft with portholes, classic saucer. They pull her on board this thing, and it rises up. And at that moment, there's a volcanic explosion. And this huge wave of mud and debris and ice and houses and bodies comes sweeping over this town, obliterating it, burying it pretty much completely. The UFO scoops a few more survivors out, and the next thing Pat knows is she's being deposited back on her driveway and, waking up the next morning. So she calls up her best friend. She's like, I had another one of my UFO dreams, and get ready, this one's a doozy, and explains what happened.
Yeah.
And her friend says, you better hang up right now and turn on the TV. So that's what Pat does, turns on the TV, and there's her, quote, UFO dream. On every channel, actually, it was the Nevada del Ruiz volcano.
Okay, I can understand, or I can buy the part about the volcano. But did anybody check to see if 1,000 people had disappeared?
There would be no way to check because this town was buried under many feet of mud, and some 20,000, 30,000 people died.
Wow.
So it was buried, and they all died.
So basically, the UFO came down, took 500 to 1,000 people to safety.
That's what it looks like, and I'm like, well, where do you think, what happened to them?
Yeah.
She says, I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. I only know what I experienced. It was validation for her. It was very upsetting because it was a traumatic experience. She described it vividly. She ended up seeking psychological help over it.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Because it really upset her. So that was probably her most major experience. And I've heard of cases. There's a couple of people who feel like the ETs have saved their lives, but certainly not on this scale. I mean, that's crazy.
Do you think they select certain people to appear, to abduct, to visit, to cure?
I wonder about that. I've certainly looked into it. It's pretty evenly divided between sex, men and women.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find any patterns on religion or really anything, education. There was two patterns I found as to who's being contacted. One is it certainly tracks families. So if your grandparents, your parents, relatives in any form have had encounters, that definitely increases your chances. If you have a history of encounters, that will definitely increase your chances. Another pattern, and this is kind of a loose pattern, but it kept turning up, is that, particularly in cases of healing events, is that people who are doing good work for humanity in some capacity. And I can't say I'm entirely sure about this, but so many social workers kept turning up, teachers, doctors, inventors, that sort of thing.
Preston, stand by, my friend. You and I have to take our break for the news at the bottom of the hour. And Exo Nation, our guest this hour is Preston Dennett. Now, if you'd like to find out more about Preston, visit his website at www.prestondennett.weebly.com. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Crystal Beach, Ontario, Canada. Now, if you'd like to send me an email, the email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. And to find out about the broadcast schedule that we have for you, 7/24/365, visit www.xzbn.net. Don't go away.
How would your life change if you could develop the business and personal skills that you need in order to make more money? Do you want to learn how to achieve your big life goals faster? Then go to findhiddenmoney.com and get the Goal for It online course. The course teaches you how you can set and achieve your biggest goals while completely overcoming the roadblocks to your goals so that you can realize your dreams and imagine more success. Go to findhiddenmoney.com.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. Audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, XZone Radio TV. For more information on the XZone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Memorable dynamic presentations are a not-so-secret weapon in the business world. Do you have a powerful message that must be shared, but you haven't found a way to deliver that message? Do you want to be known as a top public speaker who gets amazing results? Are you ready to create and deliver your powerful message? Thomas Hides can help you create and deliver your speech to get the results you desire. Visit iconquality.com.
Preston Dennett is my special guest this hour, X-Zone Nation. His website is PrestonDennett.com. PrestonDennett.weebly.com. Preston, when I was going over the information you were kind enough to send us, one of the stories, I have to ask you about it. And it's, let me see, it's the story where after being abducted by aliens, a young man continues to see grays and later learns he has a daughter who lives among the stars.
Yes. Yeah, it's an amazing case. A great guy, Tony DeTata. He was born in 1963. He was about 17 years old. This is in upstate New York area. Was just taking a walk one evening and sees this classic flying saucer, metallic. He's painting his house at the time, so he runs home. He's got a ladder ready, and he climbs onto the roof of his house and observes this craft just moves silently, smoothly across the sky, and finally disappears off in the distance. It was kind of a life-changing event. It let him know UFOs were real. Clearly wasn't any one of ours. It was pretty close, a quarter mile away maybe. And it was about 3-4 months later, he was out in the local park playing with his other friends. Well, not playing, just hanging out.
Sure.
They were teenagers, 18, 19, 20. And all of them decided to go home except he and one friend. And they're just sitting there on a bench overlooking the park when they hear this sort of weird jingly sound, like maybe car keys or something. Mm-hmm. And they're looking around for the source, and they see this gray figure out on the far edge of the park there, a couple of 100 yards away at least. And it was a clear, honest-to-God gray, like we've heard so many times, dressed in a silver jumpsuit. And it's kind of staring them down, looking at them. It turns and glides away off into this huge grove of trees on the far, far edge and disappears behind it. Totally freaked them out. They went running to go tell their friends who had just left and found them. They were all asleep. Apparently it was much later than they thought. Maybe missing time. I think so. He's really not sure. But it was around that time he started to have memories of being on board a UFO. And a very clear memory, which he actually dates to a younger age, like 14 maybe, prior to any of this. And he was just a kid sitting on this table with his feet dangling, and a gray is examining him. Its eye twitches, it's staring at him face to face. He described pretty much a very simple experience. And it got him to thinking that perhaps he's an abductee. He, started questioning his friends, and his friends were like, "Oh yeah, you always talked about this. You've been talking about this for a long time." And he ended up going to a UFO group and going under hypnotic regression to see if he could recall any memories. So he's the only guy in this whole book, actually, who's used hypnotic regression. I totally support it. I think it works.
Why do you support it?
Because I think it's been a very effective tool, even outside the UFO field.
But it's not recognized in court. Anybody who's been hypnotized, the evidence that they give or any information they give cannot be used in a court of law.
No, but it has been used effectively during investigations like the Chowchilla kidnapping. They hypnotized one of the witnesses, and they were able to get some information. And it's been used effectively with war trauma victims and certainly child abuse victims. So it does work. But I just want to sort of erase any explanations of false memory syndrome or hypnotically induced memories, because most of the cases, pretty much all of them in this book, are fully conscious. But yeah, I support it does work, and the stories that come out under hypnosis corroborate pretty much exactly with the ones that are consciously recalled. It's another reason I think it works well.
Have you yourself ever been subjected to regressive hypnosis?
No, I have not.
Okay, so excuse my skepticism, but how do you know that it works?
Because I've talked to people who've undergone it, experienced it, and I've studied. I've studied this. Another reason I think it works. Remember the show MythBusters? I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yeah, sure.
They did an episode on regressive hypnosis to try and prove it. I thought, this ought to be interesting. And how they set it up was they just had a guy come running into their little office there and create a ruckus and argue and push a few things around, say a few things, and go running out. And they asked each of the crew people, said, this is a test. Write down everything you think you just saw, everything that happened, which they did. And then they regressively hypnotized each of them and were able to get an incredible amount, almost double the detail they got. Everything from the colors of his clothes, tattoos, eye color, everything.
Right.
So it works. Again, I had more evidence right there that this does work to retrieve accurate memories. I think that, there's a lot of evidence that it works.
But there's also a lot of evidence that it doesn't work.
I've looked at that, and it's not very convincing. There are some cases where people have been sort of led, certainly.
Well, it's funny because Kevin Randall had the wife of Bud Hopkins after, I think it was 2 years ago on his show. And she said, no, it was all faked. All the hypnosis that Bud Hopkins did was fake. That's coming from his wife.
Ex-wife. Yeah, I'm sure there's two sides to every story.
There's three.
And right?
His, hers, and the truth.
So I met Bud Hopkins. I found him to be a very sincere and honest guy, very kind.
Yes, but you're a believer.
I didn't start out that way, I can tell you that.
So what was it that turned you from a non-believer to a believer?
It was a very painful process. I was upset. It was not easy. I heard a report in the news, and I didn't believe it, not for a second. But I started asking people. My brother said he'd seen a UFO, and I'm like, I'm not sure. He described this metallic saucer with a dome and colored lights. He says, you don't believe me? Go ahead, ask Greg, ask Phil. They were there with me. So that's what I did, separately, without notice. And they gave essentially the same story.
Well, maybe you can answer a question for me that no one has been able to answer over the years I've done this show is, why would an advanced race who has the ability to traverse time and space, why would they use metal instead of another material that would not make them so evident, that would be stealthy?
I think they have that ability. We do have many accounts of UFOs that appear to be invisible.
Mm-hmm.
I know of a case in, I believe it was Colorado, where the radar people had this blip on the radar approaching their base, and they could not see anything. And it came right over in sort of standard landing pattern twice. Totally freaked them out. So there are lots of cases where people have seen UFOs turn invisible. I do believe they have stealth technology. For whatever reason, they're showing themselves. I think they've got an agenda in that regard. I honestly do. Because, I mean, like my book, Schoolyard UFO Encounters, there's 100 cases of these objects hovering over playgrounds for a long period of time. During daylight, they're landing in 30% of the cases.
But are any of these sightings documented by credible means, by photographs, by videos?
Yes, absolutely. There was one case in Moline, Illinois, where a UFO hovered over the Sacred Heart Elementary School, was viewed by 40 students, 3 nuns, and a police officer who just happened to have a video camera as part of his job.
Right.
And ran and grabbed it and was able to film this object as it moved off into the distance. Now, I did view the footage. It shows a lighted object off in the distance, and it's not great footage by today's standards, I have to say. What I like about it is we're pretty sure it's not doctored, and certainly he got a lot of attention from the Air Force and intelligence agencies who wanted to view that footage.
Now you said a light going out in the distance. Was this at night?
No, it was a lighted glowing object.
I see.
So,
in your opinion, Preston, how many of these sightings could actually be experimental aircraft from Earth?
10%, 20. This is what I've been told a number of times. I'm not sure how true it is. I have no way to really prove this, but we have clusters of sightings around Air Force bases, certainly, and a number of whistleblower accounts of people who say, oh, yeah, we're flying them around. And it's not just 1 or 2 or 5 or 10. I mean, there's enough to say that where there's smoke, there's fire. There's probably something going on. I'm sure most of it is not, because they're chasing cars down the street. And they're putting on these display. The Air Force does not, test fly their most advanced aircraft over a crowd of people, generally speaking.
Generally speaking. Preston, stand by. You and I have to take our final break. And Exo Nation, if you'd like to find out more about Preston Dennett, please visit his website at www.prestondennett.weebly.com. This is The X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. And if you'd like to find out about the programming we have available for you 24/7, 365 on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit www.xzbn.net. And for all of you folks listening to us in Ontario, the state of New York, the state of Ohio, you can listen to our newest channel. It's called CBRTV. And that's during the day, it's music, news, talk. And at 9 o'clock at night, it turns into nighttime talk. And you can find out more about that on the website at www.cbrtv.net. rtv.net. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
So I was watching the X-Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
In the mid-1990s, I was approached by a young woman who believed she'd been abducted by alien creatures. In conversations, I began a journey that took me not into the world of interstellar travel, but back through time into past lives. Under hypnotic regression administered by a professional rather than describing abduction, Jenny, as she is called, begins to tell a tale of horror in 19th century London. Her unbelievable past life seems to connect with Jack the Ripper and other monsters of the past. Throughout the session, Jenny provides a rich detail of her past lives that links some of the most horrific killers in history to one another. Using the resources of a university library in the pre-internet's day, I was able to verify some of Jenny's claims. She has knowledge that wasn't readily available to a suburban housewife. Does this prove the reality of her tales? Conversations attempts to answer that and other provocative questions. Conversations is available at Amazon.com.
Mission Evolution is dedicated to the well-being of the planet and animals, as well as the evolution of humankind. One major factor threatening all three is increasing toxicity. Heavy metals and other environmental toxins are poisoning our bodies, deteriorating our brains, blocking our spiritual connection, and shortening our lives. Yet these poisons are extremely difficult to remove. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, and I recently became aware of a product created from the marriage of nature and nanotechnology called Vitality. It's formulated from zoolite, whose crystalline structure binds toxins, gently carrying them out of the body. The light is only as clear as the window through which it shines. Clear your body, shine your light into the world. Visit vitalityhappens.com for a 20% discount. Enter code PATHHOME.
Welcome back, everyone. Preston Dennett is my special guest. www.prestondennett.weebly.com. Preston, as somebody who has had his fingers to the pulse of the UFO community, intelligence community, as well as experimental aircraft over the past number of years, what is your opinion of the gun camera footage that was taken by the United States Navy that has been codenamed by many people as the Tic Tac event?
Yeah, I'm glad to see it being revealed publicly. It's kind of the only official movement we've had in a long time in terms of our government validating the UFO phenomena. It feels like a little disingenuous, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but a baby step maybe.
Yeah.
Because I know there's much better footage out there. I've seen better footage. I mean, what about all these? There's hours and hours and hours of gun camera footage that they've got. So I'd like to see the bodies that they have, the actual craft. I appreciate, what they showed, but I feel like it's only was sort of forced. It feels like their hand was forced a little bit. There's a lot of pressure on various sides to get this stuff revealed. The disclosure movement has been gaining traction among, higher placed officials, I think. So I'm hopeful that this will all roll out a more transparent policy.
What would happen to the UFO community if this Tic Tac event proves to be experimental aircraft, like many military experts, as well as those members of the military in very high places are hinting to?
I don't think it'll have as much effect, honestly. I was talking to people, I'm like, have you heard about the Pentagon disclosure? Most people within the general public have not.
All right, tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, because I was kind of wondering, this is a big disclosure moment in a way. You know, this whole Pentagon validating UFO phenomena, and it's just slid right through society with nary a ripple. It wasn't a powerful enough evidence, I think, to really grip the media, perhaps. I mean, there were media stories, but people just took it in stride. I don't think the mainstream scientific community or society at large is going to take this subject seriously until we can see the craft and the bodies.
Well, you know, I think the major problem there, Preston, is that we've had all this information given to us by people who claim to have had experiences, who claim to have been abducted, and there's never a smoking gun. Even with today's high technologically advanced cameras, systems, and everything, there is no smoking gun. And I often wonder, why not?
It's terribly frustrating. There is evidence. There's quite a bit of it, largely circumstantial. There's eyewitness testimony, but there's good physical evidence as well. There's radar return cases. There's landing trace cases. Medical evidence, a lot of that, injuries and healings. So there is certainly evidence. Probably, I'd say that our best smoking gun would be the implant removal cases. But that's been it's barely been touched.
Yeah, well, that's where we go back to Dr. Roger Lear and the work that he did prior to him passing.
Right.
But pardon?
Yeah, correct. And he's about the only one out there who really made any progress.
But I think the biggest problem with Dr. Lear and the work he did was, number one, Daryl Sims, and number two, he was a podiatrist. If he had been a different type of doctor with better credentials, and I don't want to sound demeaning to Dr. Lear, I think he might have been taken more seriously. But, you know, when Daryl Sims goes on national radio and says that there is a UFO circling the Earth that is 300 miles long and 50 miles high, and he comes out with all these weird stories, that does not do anything to help the credibility of the memories of Dr. Lear and the work he did.
Yeah, well, I think investigators are coming at this from different angles. Some are trying to, boldly go forward through unexplored territory.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a huge amount of evidence that has been amassed. It's clear this is a real phenomena. It's been seen by every level of government, from presidents to senators to representatives to governors, on down, every level of military. I'd say there's enough eyewitness testimony and circumstantial evidence and photographs and so on to say it's real. I think we have a pretty good handle on what it is. I think the cover-up is demonstrable. That's not speculation. We can prove that.
Well, how can you prove a cover-up?
Through many ways.
How?
Probably our best tool is the Freedom of Information Act.
Okay.
And being able to get all kinds of documents.
But in any of those documents, has any of the documents proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that these objects that are seen are actually from another planet?
Not beyond a shadow of a doubt. It's the best theory that's been raised.
Okay, it's a theory.
It's a theory. This is still a mystery until, publicly it is. I think in certain military circles, they know what this is. They've got the bodies. They know a lot.
How do you wait a sec? You say they've got the bodies. How do you know that? How can you say with certainty that they have bodies?
Because there are just too many darn whistleblower accounts. It's not just Roswell. Roswell's a granddaddy of a case. I hate to beat a dead horse, but I'm going to do it because there are just too many witnesses for this not to be a valid event.
What, Roswell?
Roswell.
Oh,
absolutely.
come on. How can we take anything seriously about Roswell when Jesse Marcel was the lead figure in the entire thing. He screwed it up from the minute that he got involved.
There's Walter Hout. There's Glenn Dennis. There's a lot of witnesses. Frankie Rowe. I can go on.
Then how come investigators who at one time believed the Roswell story are now saying, after years of investigation and in-depth interviews with the survivors, that it's nothing else but a bunch of bunk?
I don't think that they have good reason to say so. They may say that, but they're not marching out the evidence to support it.
Well, there is no evidence.
To put out all this testimony and then completely backtrack is disingenuous.
But where's the proof, Preston? Like, you're saying evidence. Where's the evidence? Where's the bodies, if there are any? When you've got people like T.D. Barnes, who worked at Area 51 as a CIA contractor, who was there at the time when the alleged event happened, when people are saying there's UFOs there and as well as bodies, and he's saying beyond a shadow of a doubt, he knows for a fact there aren't. You've got people like Bob Lazar who come up with all these mythical and bullcrap stories. Where's the proof? And how can anyone validate anything without proof?
You're right, it's not been validated. This is what's really frustrating about the UFO crash retrieval and that whole field of study. It's the best evidence we have, and it's based solely on eyewitness testimony in the public arena. And that's an important, caveat there.
Well, it's important for the people within the UFO community, but obviously the general public doesn't give a darn.
No, and that's sort of the problem why it's been so difficult to move this subject forward.
Do you know there are more people that believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the Sandman, the Tooth Fairy, than believe in UFOs?
I don't believe that for a second.
Check it out, my friend. Check it out.
All right.
Check it out.
But, I don't know. That doesn't. No, the truth will take care of itself.
Why hasn't it taken care of itself by now? If we've been looking at this since 1947, why hasn't it come out yet? And where would Roswell have been? Where would the UFO community be if Stanton Friedman had not left his lecture and gone to Roswell?
Yeah, he broke that case wide open, but it's just one of many. And UFOs are not going away. I think this is a subject we have to deal with at some point.
You know what? You said UFOs are not going away, yet UFO sightings have been drastically down. How come?
Well, they've been on an escalating, there are ups and downs, waves, certainly. But if you look at the actual statistics from the UFO reporting organizations like NUFORC and MUFON, what you're seeing is an arithmetic rise of counts.
Yes, but you know as well as I do, Preston, that any statistical information can be skewed to the way the person who is doing the analysis wants it to skew.
Yeah, to a certain extent, but the fact is there are more and more accounts each year, more people reporting. So that says something. You can translate however you want. Maybe people are just becoming more aware of UFO accounts. Maybe the centers themselves are becoming more well-known, or perhaps the activity itself is escalating.
Or people don't have anything better to do and they want to try something else.
Could be.
Hey, Preston, I want to thank you so much for joining us. And Exo Nation, if you'd like to find out more about Preston Dennett, visit his website, www.prestondennett.weebly.com. Now, I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Crystal Beach, Ontario, Canada. Once again, you can watch the X Zone TV show on Simul TV. And for the next couple of weeks, thanks to Stephen Turner, the president and CEO of Simul TV, you'll be able to watch it with our compliments and the compliments of our friends at Simul TV at www.xzonetvchannel.com or xzbnprime.com. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away.